topic is very interesting as we're gonna talk about data. I'm sure everybody loves to hear about data and what we can do with data. But today let's take a step back. Let's talk about what are the elements in data? What are the things we need to know as an agent? It's important that we understand where the data sources are and what is the most we can get out of data. So today's topic is divided into 4 segments: data consolidation, data segmentation, then we're going to talk about data visualization, and then data action and reaction. So within these 4 topics, we're going to talk about how we are consolidating and bringing all the data to the point of how we are maximizing the value that is coming out of this data. So talking about data consolidation. So the one thing we need to know is there is a lot of data, whether it's from an agency management system, whether it's about the data we have with the carriers, whether in any other folders, files, talking to customers. There is a lot of data all around us. But the challenge is we are not able to consolidate all that data in a way that will make it meaningful for us to analyze and do more, which we're going to talk later. So it's important that those data are presentation are ready, which means we are able to consolidate those data in a way so we can process those data. Third part of the data consolidation is functionality, which is we may have a lot of data in our agency management system or any other CRM that we are using, but what are we doing with that data? Is there a functionality defined in our mind, in our thinking, or in our usage that we are using that data for? Fourth part is interoperability. I know that's a tough word and it's a big one for me. But it's important to understand that concept of it, which is this data able to transfer from one system to another? For example, let's say if you're using MailChimp for your email marketing, is that data, how many people are opening your email? Can you get that data from there to a text messaging tool where you need to text only to the guys who have been opening your email a lot of times? That's a wonderful goal to accomplish, but the challenge is that data is not transferable from one of your mail campaign system to your text messaging system. Let's talk about data segmentation. This is, I think, is the most important thing when you think about data, which is how we are slicing and dicing the data. As I have heard somewhere, or I was reading something, it said, if you are sending one generic email to all your clients, your response rate is expected to be at least 67% less, which means you need to identify subgroups within your customer base, and those segmentation can be based on multiple characterizations or attributes. One can be demographics. Do you know how old they are? Do you know their gender, or what other attributes you understand about them? Whether it's what line of business they are a homeowner's policy they have with you, they have any commercial policy with you, they have an auto or a boat policy with you. So you understand that line of business that they have policy with you, and you can segment and send communication accordingly. Premium, some of them are based on what kind of premiums that we have with them. It's a high premium, high net worth client that we need to send a different kind of communication versus a very commoditized, price elastic customer who is very responsive to a price. So any change in price by 5% to 10% will have an impact on those customers. So it's important to understand those segmentations so you can draft your communication, or you can approach how you need to do business with those folks in a much more structured and custom way. Negative data. When we talk about data, it's very important that we understand that the data that is available, we can understand those data. But how do we understand the data that is not available to us? So can we look into how many emails are missing, how many phone numbers are? What is that percent of that missing data in your system? So probably that will be an exercise for the weekend for you. Let's talk about data visualization. So what is data visualization? Data visualization is, how do you see your data? Do you see your data in terms of just a long rows and columns of spreadsheet, or do you see your data in a much more visual, appealing way, colorful way, in charts and graphs and trends, line going all through it and giving you a better appeal? Or are you looking at it through some big bold numbers, that is KPIs, your key performance indicators, that is telling you this is what I have grown from last week to this week or last month to this month. It is giving you a sense of how or when you are doing better. So it's important to understand your data visualization. Third is data analysis. So when you are looking at the data, is it giving you a perspective of, so let's take an example of 12 months of your policy renewal. When you put that on a stacked bar graph, which means by line of policy, you see all those policies that will expire in a month, and you put them in a next 12-month trend, you would know which month is gonna be more work, or there will be more renewals versus the other month, and that will give you a perspective. Fourth is alerts and notification. See, that is also very important, is to understand what kind of alerts and notification is helping me understand my data or looking at it. So if my customer is making changes on the policies and I'm getting all those alerts, or if he is making a request through a service desk or something that we are using, and they are coming back to us, so we are able to analyze those data or visualize those data in a way that is giving us much more deeper understanding of our own data. Now let's talk about data action and reaction. So it's great if we are able to consolidate all our data, segment them, and then able to visualize. But that is half the battle won. Unless you are able to act upon your data, nothing is meaningful, because all comes down or boils down to what am I doing to get the most out of my data. And that starts with understanding your business now in a way that you can create business rules or create automations to trigger some of those communications, some of those response to your customers, or even about understanding your business or getting alerts. So whether if you're looking at how many customers have a particular kind of policy, you create a business rule and that will tell you end of the month if you hit that goal or not. So understanding those kind of business rules and getting those triggers in your system is important. Data-driven decisions. So now you have all these data sources pulled in, whether it's through external sources or internal sources, and then you are able to understand the profile of a particular account or a particular customer, and you may choose to custom the code, or you may choose to do a particular kind of a pricing for that policy in a way that is more catered to that particular profile. So understanding and be able to make decisions based on those data points is very helpful and make you be much more efficient and effective. Trend. It's important that when we are looking at a trend, we understand how well we are doing or how bad we are doing. And so be able to play or pause, which is, when we are looking at our sales pipeline, we know we may be losing a lot of business at a quote segment. So now understanding why is that happening, once we do that data analysis, we know it may be because I'm not sending him those emails which he's expecting, and then he's moving on to another clients. Be able to understand that, we pause that trend and try to come up with a newer trend that will help us minimize that kind of an impact and help us accelerate our growth in a better way. Or also looking at taking action through all the communication medium that we use, whether it's through email, text messaging, or phone calls, or even one-to-one meeting with our clients. Being able to do those things or able to take action based on how we take the data flow, that it all matters is how we are able to close our business. Because end of the day, there is two outcomes that matters most to you. One, how quickly are you closing a stranger or a prospect to a client. Number two, how much you are able to get out of a current client, which is how are you maximizing the customer lifetime value through cross-sell, upsell, referrals, or retaining that customer through long-term retention through engagement. If you are able to look at your business from these two outcome perspective, and you are looking into data from data consolidation, segmentation, visualization, and action perspective, you will be golden. Thank you.